This is part 5 of my series of videos refuting the argument against using sidereal nakshatras with tropical rashis, presented by Sam Jeppy and the KRS channel. In part 1, I addressed the appeal to tradition argument by saying that Indian tradition itself doesn't accept tradition as a really good way of determining whether something is right or wrong. Krishna himself in Gita, by saying Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir, states directly that tradition always develops flaws. In part 2, I addressed the claim that the stability of astrological culture in India proves or demonstrates the superiority of the sidereal zodiac. In response to this, I pointed out that the instability in the astrological culture of Europe and Arabia was due to the radical religious and social upheaval in those areas caused by the rise of Christianity and Islam, roughly between the 5th and 8th centuries in the Common Era. In part 3, I addressed the claim that the sidereal zodiac is observationally accurate. You can look up and see that it's really what it says it is. In response to this, I simply showed the position of Spica, which in the sidereal zodiac is supposed to be the very anchor point, the definition of the end of Virgo and beginning of Libra. And I just simply showed by referring to the star maps that if you look up in the sky, Spica is not at the end of Virgo, it's almost right in the middle of it. So the sidereal zodiac is the same abstract symbolic concept as the tropical zodiac. The only difference between the two is that the sidereal zodiac remained anchored to the star that was associated with the descending equinox when this zodiac system first came into popular use, which was about 2,000 years ago. In part 4, I replied to the claim that nakshatras like Magha can't possibly exist outside their sidereal rashi like Leo. Here I explain that this way of thinking is circular. We are educated about what the nakshatras are as if they were combinations of their Rashi and Navamshas with some Dasha Lord. And therefore, we can't conceive of them of being anywhere outside of their Rashi and Navamshas. But if we think of nakshatras as the Vedas present them to us, as the abodes of different divinities or gods, then we have no problem seeing them as being independent in reference to the Rashi. And then we have no problem reading the Vedanga Jyotish of Rig and Yajurveda as it is, stating that Kritika is at the beginning of the heavenly circle, and Bharani is at the end. Now, in part 5, I'm going to address the proposition that the sidereal zodiac is more spiritual than the tropical zodiac, since karma is more spacey than earthy, and the tropical zodiac is more earthy than spacey. Now, many people have put forward this argument or some version of it. I would like to request siderealists to decide which claim they're actually going to make. Because in one breath, I hear them say, we predict with sidereal astrology real things that actually happen, real events. But you guys using tropical, you just talk about how people feel and how they think about things. So in that breath, they're saying that the sidereal zodiac is more practical. And in the next breath, they say that the sidereal zodiac is more spiritual and the tropical is more practical. The sidereal zodiac deals with karma and the tropical zodiac just deals with practical earthly affairs. So which one is it? That's my request to you. Please decide which claim you're actually making. So now let's actually start to look at this claim. Let's look at the claim that the tropical zodiac is uniquely earth-oriented. Really, it's quite alarming to hear a practicing astrologer make a claim such as this, because everything in every classical system of astrology is entirely earth-centric. And it should be, because astrology is a symbolic language communicating information from the universe to human beings on Earth. So of course, everything about astrology should be based on how human beings on Earth perceive the heavens. It's natural that astrology is entirely geocentric. Everything about it is geocentric. The ecliptic itself, right? The path through which the sun and planets move. That's only where the planets seem to move if you look at them from the Earth. The 12 divisions of the zodiac, they only exist because of the 12 yearly idealized revolutions of the moon around the Earth. The houses, the 12 houses, those are all divisions of the Earth's sky. And they're based on the ascendant, which is determined by the eastern horizon of the Earth. The nakshatras are formed by the moon's movement around the Earth, intersected by the sun's movement daily around the Earth. Even the stars themselves will change their patterns if you don't observe them from the Earth. So everything about astrology, all forms of classical astrology, is entirely geocentric and Earth-based. So to claim that one zodiac system is more geocentric than another zodiac system is just absurd. And so is the claim that being less geocentric is somehow more desirable. The Vedic concept of Triloka, 3 realms of existence, demonstrates this very point. Bhu, Bhuva, Swa. That's the Triloka. Triloka is a unit. And this unit has 3 distinct layers, Bhu, Bhuva, and Swa. The whole unit is rooted on Bhu. Bhu literally means where you exist. Bhu is the realm where you exist and from which you perceive everything, including Bhuva and Swa. Bhuva means almost Earth. Like Earth, close to Earth. It refers to the local space in which you have planets and the space that planets own, the Rashis. Then you have Swa, which is outer space. Sva is short for Svarga, and Svarga means the place that has the stuff that's made the earth and the sky, and to which the earth and the sky are going to return when they're dissolved in annihilation. So in astrology, these 3 layers are very relevant. Bhu corresponds to the houses. Bhuva is the Rashi, and Svarga is the nakshatra. Svarga is deep space, Bhuva is local space, and Bhu is the earth itself. This is also very relevant to the material that I presented in the previous discussion in part 4, because it demonstrates that the nakshatras and the rashis are separate layers. They're not identical. Okay, so in short, everything about astrology is Bhu-based, earth-based, geocentric. There's no basis to claim that one part of astrology is more geocentric than another, nor is there any basis to claim that being more geocentric is somehow a disqualification. Now, I'd like to address the final part of the argument, which is the idea that karma is somehow more relevant to space than to the earth. And so therefore the sidereal zodiac, which is stellar, is more karmic or more spiritual than the tropical zodiac. Okay, I've already shown that the tropical zodiac is neither more nor less earth-oriented than the sidereal. But what I want to examine now is the claim that karma is not an earthly thing. That claim is completely against everything taught in the Vedas. The Vedas describe Earth and the human life form as the only place in the universe where new karma is generated. Subhuman species and superhuman species exist to bestow the results of karma, but the human species alone exists to give consciousness the opportunity to alter its destiny by initiating newer, better karmic patterns. This perspective is ubiquitous throughout all the Vedas and Puranas, and all the lineages of Parampara based on them. The very first word of the Vedanta Sutra, the word Atha, in Atato Brahma Jigyasa, is interpreted by every single Parampara's commentary as meaning now that you have been born as a human and have the ability to improve yourself. So the earth, which is the host for human life, is described as karma kshetra, the field upon which karma is generated and experienced. So the idea that karma is more stellar or swarga-like is totally out of touch with the Vedic paradigm. And karma itself is not a spiritual phenomenon anyway. In the Gita, Krishna describes karma as bhuta bhavod karo visarga karma sangita. Karma is the way that an atma, a self, an individual, can cause changes in manifest reality. So karma is all about manifest reality. Karma is the mechanism on which tangible, material, practical life unfolds. So the earth is a very practical, tangible place because it is karma kshetra, the main stage on which karma is generated and experienced. Now finally, I would like to also address the idea that cosmic time is more spiritual than earthly time. And that the tropical zodiac, therefore, is just a calendar, but the sidereal zodiac is more spiritual. Please note that both the Rashis and the Nakshatra were originally used only for calendars in Vedic India. So both the solar tropical way of looking at things and the lunar stellar way of looking at time, both of those paradigms were used for calendars to time events. Later on, they became adapted, both of them became adapted to natal predictive astrology. So to say that a calendar is just a calendar suggests not understanding what time itself is and how time is integrally related to karma. In the third skanda of Bhagavad Purana, Maitreya Muni explains that time is the Shakti that allows a cause to generate an effect. Time is the power that lets karma create a result, a fruit. Time is the thing that allows your action to create your destiny. Time is only observed, Maitreya said, in terms of changes. Time is nothing but the facility for things to change. And so time is inexorably related to the mechanism which changes things, karma. If you want to know about this in more detail, please get my book, The Beautifully Rational Philosophy of Astrology. Now, in his interview on the KRS channel, Sam Jeppy suggests that there's a significant karmic difference between celestial time and earthly time. This also has no congruence with the Vedic paradigm. When explaining the Sankhya Darshan in the third skanda of Bhagavatam, Kapila Muni says that time is a single element without division. The difference between seconds and years, or cosmic and earthly, is just a matter of scope or perspective. Bhagavatam explains that time is the agent enabling change. The most constant standardized change that happens in the universe is the movement of the sun, apparent movement of the sun. Therefore, the most reliable way of measuring a standardized time is to observe the changes in the sun's position. Now, as for earthly time, the basic unit of time on Earth is a day, which is caused by the sun rising over the eastern horizon. As for celestial time, the basic unit of time in Swarga, the stellar realm, is also a day. But that day is 360 times the duration of an earthly day. Because it's not caused by the sun rising over the Earth's horizon, it's caused by the sun rising over the celestial horizon, the heavens horizon, the celestial equator. So in other words, the celestial day begins with the northerly equinox. And since the tropical zodiac actually is anchored to that point, we might as well argue that it is more in touch with cosmic time than the sidereal zodiac, whose anchor point is drifted away from the equinoxes. But that's just an argument. In truth, there is no fundamental difference between earthly and cosmic time. There's only one time, but it's just experienced from different perspectives. And time itself is inexorably involved with the unfolding of karma. So any way of measuring time, any calendar, etc., is also a means of predicting the future. So I'll end with a summary of the points. First of all, nothing is more earth-centric than anything else in astrology, because everything in all forms of classical astrology is 100% earth-centric. Second of all, stellar things are not more karmically relevant or spiritually relevant than earthly things. All the Vedas declare that the human form of life on earth is the focal point for all karma. And thirdly and finally, time is an inseparable component of karma. So to imply that something used as a calendar cannot be used for divination is not very astute. And in fact, sidereal and tropical phenomenon are both used in both capacities, both as calendars and as platforms for divination. So thank you for your attention. I have a few more parts to explain coming up. I hope you'll stick around, wait around for those. Thank you.